Thank you so much for joining us on All Angles. I'm Dion Jax-Miller. There's been a lot of talk, discussion, and excitement, perhaps, in relation to the entertainment zone that's supposed to be established in the Fort Rocky area. Now, that area falls within the Palisades Port Royal protected area. And a lot of concern was raised recently when there was some unauthorized clearing of the area to establish a parking lot. Well, we're going to be talking about all the associated issues on this program. First, though, I went to Port Royal to hear from some of the residents there. I found Robert Ricketts playing dominoes with friends.
What I think about the Fort Rocky, what they say they build for the community. We can't keep them because dance and anything they can be nice from in the town because it affect the people then, right? And I'm saying they carry it up here for interested for the Port Royal people, but the Port Royal people does not benefit nothing at all from it. Right?
Why you say they're not benefiting?
Because they keep the party and everything there. I don't see nothing done to the town, the community. Nothing to the basic school or the school itself, nothing has been done. And certain things when we say them do up there, what I don't like. They cut out the wall, which is a historical building, which is not supposed to trouble that building.
O'Neill Chuck is president of the Port Royal Community Development Committee as well as the Port Royal Benevolent Society. To what extent was the committee involved in the process and the decision making?
None. Absolutely none.
Absolutely none?
None. We weren't notified, we weren't contacted. You know, I was actually away and on vacation, and somebody called me and sent me pictures and said, "What's going on?"
And you didn't know?
We did not know.
So when you heard no, what was being done, tell me what was the reaction of the committee?
Well, we did our investigations and we found out what it was, what they intended to do, and we immediately got very concerned about how it was handled. And the fact that to put something like that there, we didn't want it. We just did not want the whole heritage structure to be disturbed, the environment, not like that to be happening. Tell me why you didn't want the area disturbed. Well, living in Port Royal, you know the importance of having the natural barriers to protect the roads and so forth, you know, especially during hurricane time. We need the vegetation, and the fact that the site itself is protected, we want that. The heritage site is important to us in more than one way. We are currently being reviewed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and destroying that now is going to send a bad image. So we didn't want it to happen.
Pepita Little is the Assistant Public Relations Officer for the Port Royal Community Development Committee. Had you heard about the plans for Fort Rocky?
No.
Tell me how you found out.
I found out in the group or CDC group, someone sent a picture and a video with the area being cleared, and we were all shocked about that.
Why were you shocked?
Because we didn't know that someone would do something like this, considering that the area is a Ramsar site and a protected area as well under the NRCA Act of 1991. So, you know, it was just confusing to us, and also we weren't consulted about it. Under the Ramsar Convention Act, the area is supposed to be maintained at a certain level because we're trying to sustain the marine life and also the environmental, the plants, the fauna, the flora, and everything else that contributes to the ecosystem and biodiversity.
You know, people might say, boy, how now gone, so there are just some bush and dirt.
But that bush and dirt holds the soil together, which in turn protects us from storm surges and water and so many other things, rubbish. How can they say that? Sorry, but I'm just, you know, that's crazy to me that people don't understand how important the environment is to our existence.
What we have here is the aftermath of the clearing of the land to facilitate parking, and parking was never done for good times. Instead, they ended up using parking up by airport and 2 locations in Port Royal. All of this was natural vegetation. The land itself was higher, and if you look to the edge, you will see that where they bank up everything.
Because it's a specific type of vegetation you see along the road at Port Royal. I mean, When you look at that vegetation, that landscape, what do you see?
A mixture of cactus, a mixture of maca trees, as they would call them, a mixture of many different plants. We have an aloe vera farm at the back of Fort Rocky, which I don't think anyone knows about. I went around there one day and bucked up on it. Many aloe vera around there. And you know, aloe vera is a very good plant. It's good for a lot of things. So aside from that, on the side that they removed, I know that there was cactus there was a mixture of mangroves. So where there's one mangroves, there's many mangroves. And even if it's not a big plant, the small plants matter because they'll grow up. And mangroves are extremely important. They're very strong and they help to sustain against all types of weather conditions.
Is the area beautiful to you?
If it's beautiful, not anymore. Well, that section isn't anymore. But I think the natural landscape, the natural plants, generally very beautiful to me because I know of its importance as well. I'm concerned about the road, the blocking of the road. You know, there's nothing to hold back the sand and the stones and the water that will be coming over. There is talk that there were no mangroves in that area, but I know for a fact that wherever there is one mangrove, there are many mangroves, as I had mentioned. So just it being not there is detrimental to us even going into Port Royal or coming out of Port Royal. The last time we had a major hurricane, which was Hurricane Ivan, it blocked the road. And it blocked the roads as far as Palisados, beyond the airport. And we couldn't move, we couldn't go anywhere. If we were to move, it would have been by boat. So that's one of my concerns about the environmental, shake-up.
What about people who might say, but it's just a small area though? Look at the whole long strip of mangroves and dunes. Does it really matter if this one small area is cleared?
It matters because where there is a break in the chain link, there is a weakness, and where there is a break in the natural habitat, there is a weakness. So now the water has a little bit more leeway to travel a little bit more freely. If it was blocked up, then it would have been harder for it to have the freedom that it now has because of this one little space being removed.
The music travels over the water. All right, the line of sight for Port Royal would be diagonal like this. So from leaving Fort Rocky to be at the angle like this. So Port Royal is that way. Everybody that lives along the beach gets it first, and it is not good. It's horrible. Even if it's not very loud, the bass travels and it vibrates your house, vibrates your windows. So you're lying in bed and you're
my windows shake. Yeah, I could hear the selector, yeah, we're ready, time to get the party started and whatever else he was saying. I could hear everything. I turned to my partner and I was like, yo, we're doing at the dance, babes.
So we took our own measurements in terms of disturbance, and we use an app, and for the most part the app was saying that around 60.
That's 60 decibels?
Yes,
that's
60
the noise
decibels,
that you were
and
hearing
the noise
in Port Royal from Fort Rocky?
Right. And the music was turned down at Fort Rocky because when I went out there, it was turned down. It was not the usual volume, right? So it was obvious that they turned it down. And it was at 60, 63, all over in the community. At some points, it did get to 80 because I turned it up and then I turned it down. At 60, your house is vibrating. Right? Your house is vibrating from the music because it travels.
One of the things that's been said is that whereas other entertainment venues have, disturbed communities around them, Fort Rocky is perfect because there's no community to disturb with noise.
Well, if they had consulted us, then they would know that there's going to be disturbances. It's not just noise disturbance, traffic, right? So for example, on the morning of the Good Times show, vehicles were coming in at 1 o'clock, 1:30. Both individuals as well as the buses that were shuttling the patrons. And if you know Port Royal, you know that it's very quiet, right, at 1 o'clock, at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And when you're going to have 2 JUTC buses going back and forth, along with coasters blasting music, and then individuals coming in, they're driving their car at unnecessary speeds, they're speeding, they're blasting music, right? Traffic management, going back and forth. You're going to have a party in the day, all hours of the morning. Who's going to be monitoring the traffic? There was an accident this morning. Somebody was speeding. That has nothing to do with the event, but we have our own challenges with speeding on the road. When these patrons come now and they are under the influence of fun, they're enjoying themselves and they decide to say, listen man, step on the gas. We're going to have to stop them. It's one road in, one road out. If you have a long line of traffic coming in from Harborview, it's going to affect anybody going in. The garbage collection the next day. On Sunday, the day after the event, the regular garbage truck apparently stopped and cleaned up there before it came. Then it comes into the town, it is full. It took up maybe a quarter way normally take up, and then it left. In the past we were used to not being consulted, but now we have gotten used to being consulted, because when the pier was being built, Port Authority came in, they had at least a dozen meetings with the community to explain step by step what was going to happen and so forth. They brought in other agencies who had meetings with the community, right? So, you know, when this is happening now, then it's just going back to where we are coming from, and we don't want that.
I want him to talk to us. I want to be involved. I want him to hear us, listen to us, listen to our concerns.
Okay, so stay with us. When we come back after the break, we have a team from NEPA who will be answering some of those questions and concerns, and later on we hear from other stakeholders. Remember, you can WhatsApp us. It's 876-254-0693, 876-254-0693. Give us your first name, your general location. Soon come. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're continuing to talk about the plans for the Fort Rocky area, the entertainment zone in that whole Port Royal area. With us in this segment of the program, a team from NEPA. We have Leonard Francis, Chief Executive Officer of NEPA, the National Environment and Planning Agency. We have the Chair, Christopher Weemstone, and we also have with us Anthony McKenzie, Director of Environmental Management and Conservation. Appreciate you all coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so first of all, in relation to the clearing, for clarity, NEPA didn't know that that was happening. Is that correct, Mr. Francis?
No, we did not.
Any of you?
We did not.
No, we would have found out after the fact, like everybody else.
So the thing, though, is what happens next? Because I seem to be getting mixed messages. I heard something about rehabilitation and restoration, but at the same time, I got a copy of a presentation that Jamaica National Heritage Trust apparently made, and they have what looks like a very urban parking lot here that they're calling a green, eco-friendly parking lot. So what is it?
So what is next is, and you would have heard that out from the meeting they had out at the site with the PS, etc. You know, the JNHT has, for the most part, admitted fault and have discussed with us how to make the situation better. The plan you referred to was something that should have, from our understanding, should have been submitted 5 years ago, pre-COVID. And the first plans, the first work for the entertainment zone began about 2019, 2020. The demolition of the structure in the middle of the fort that had collapsed. Then everything paused because of COVID. So it seems that they restarted with earnest without remembering that those plans and the permits had not been put in. So the plan you speak to actually came to NEPA after the incident. Where do we go from here? They have agreed to do a remediation plan.
Tell me what that means.
To reinstate the property as best as can in terms of design features, rebuilding perhaps some of the berms, transplanting similar plants to grow again, rehabilitation of the space.
So this parking lot thing is going to happen or not?
Well, as I said, that plan, I've seen it, came in after this incident. I don't think that plan looks like a remediation plan.
Which was what I was.
And to my understanding, they are currently trying to procure the necessary skill set to do that remediation plan, which is probably landscape architects and botanists and people with a bit more technical background to How do you restore a damaged piece of property?
Couple other concerns. We hear the community talking about consultation. I don't know which gentleman wants to respond there.
All right,
They're
so
saying them just wake up and then hear say this.
we inclusive, sustainable, and should be. So we believe that anything that is supposed to be done there and any decision for the community that as the and we had discussions with them. We have been having and anything going forward, there has to be communication and consultation with the community.
But I have to ask, it is a protected area. All
is that committee.
Right. So specifically into the activity that took place, we weren't consulted. But remember though, that the conditional approval for the location back consultation with interagency consultation. Of course, there was some level of consultation with the wider Kingston community and in the Port Royal area as well. But we're talking about back in 2016. It's a couple years ago.
Yeah, and
so the management committee was not aware that the activity was about to start. So I could lay that on the table.
Yeah.
And just to point out though, the concept of the entertainment zone has been around for many years. As a matter of fact, research was done that actually identified several areas, but then there were conditions laid out. So if you look in the Kingston, St. Andrew and Port Royal Development Plan, you'll be seeing that area where the fort is in itself is actually zoned as an entertainment zone in all documents, about the environmental and planning documents.
but listening to the residents, they're saying people are acting as if this thing is in the middle of nowhere and as if absolutely nobody is going to be affected. And we heard their concerns here, which sound very legitimate.
All right, so
because so we don't have Hope Gardens being affected anymore. But Port Royal is saying if you go, and they're saying further that if we're talking about an entertainment zone, there's not going to be any 2 o'clock cutoff, so you know you can't sleep after 2 o'clock. They say it's going to be all day, all night, all the time. And how is that fair to them?
all right, so we actually realized those issues, and that is why we had advised the ministry that they should have a consultant look on noise, to look on the flora and fauna and several other areas as well. Those consultations were done, but for us now to actually go through the project, we have had to review those and the recommendations. Recommendation actually was Conrad Douglas that did it and associates. So the reality is that it has to be fine-tuned, and the various recommendations within those research documents, they need to be implemented.
One of the concerns raised by the Jamaica Environment Trust is that the scope of the study you speak about was too narrow. They said, why didn't NEPA ask for a full environmental impact assessment, especially given the fact that we're talking about something of this magnitude with potential noise impact, garbage impact, ecological impact inside a legally protected area?
All right, before Anthony comes in, though, we need to separate both areas, though. They have the fort and they have outside of the fort. What we had looked on was the fort itself, and the fort has always been used for parties, various events and everything. The fort itself was crumbling because it needed to be maintained. If you actually go there now and you actually look around, we are actually losing the historical artifact. We can say that. Now the reality is that we believed that in consultation with the citizens of Jamaica, with the Port Royal persons as well, that we could actually create a product, that's what we believed, to actually ensure that the fort was preserved. It's not only the idea we're sold, and it's not only entertainment zone in itself. The idea is that when cruise ship comes, you would have food there, you would have a craft market, there would be other activities there as well. That's what we were told, and that's what discussion we had when the entertainment zone was being proposed. Now, so we need to separate both activities. So in the fort itself, we're actually supposed to restore it to what it was before.
Separate both, you mean? Separate what from what?
The outside of the fort.
From the
land
protected area?
from the
Yes.
designated area.
Yes.
But the point I'm making, can you do that, seeing that one is within the other?
No, but you can. You can.
How so?
Because our idea was that the areas where the sand dune is that those areas would remain as they are. The fort that is actually there, if you have been inside the fort, there are no endemic species, there's nothing inside there itself. And we believe that that area should be redeveloped and find a way to ensure that it is preserved and conserved. The reports were requested because based on the screen and discussions, we thought those were the impacts, the likely impacts as well that could have happened. Anthony, you want to?
I think the major impacts inside the fort in the designated area that you would mention would be noise and lighting. I mean, those are you can't avoid those. Outside the fort itself, the impacts would be traffic and garbage and things like that. Obviously, some parameters would need to be set up when running a product like that, the fort, for entertainment. Orientation of the speakers, maybe the speakers that night shouldn't have been pointing back to the town, but the benefit of that is pointing them out to the sea. They were pointing back to the town that night. So I guess there's a kind of learning exercise but science can actually help you so you don't have to feel, So light and sound are part of the study that CEO is speaking about that is presently in NEPA being looked at. It hasn't reached the board level. They're still analyzing it. And there's a science that can deal with that, and somebody has to enforce it at the end of the day. There has to be guidelines. The fort just can't operate as a free-for-all. One has to manage the scale. Surely there is a capacity issue. The night of the party, I understand there was about 4,500 people, about twice more than the promoters expected to come. There was a lot of excitement, I guess, for the destination. So that was an opportunity to see what 4,000 people feels like, and maybe that's too much, and that's part of what's going to have to go into the planning and how you operate that space for the safety of the environment, and one can't neglect the people of Port Royal. But there are ways, I would think, to mitigate it, but somebody has to enforce it. There has to be some order.
We're nearly out of time, but Anthony, you've been trying to come in and specifically.
No, I mean,
still,
I think that, as the CEO said and Chairman, the original concept did not include impacting the vegetation and the sand dune. So, having regard to the critical issues relating to light and sound, the request and the request of the proponent was for those studies to be done and not a full-blown EIA.
And
you don't think in retrospect I'm out of time, but final quick comment. In retrospect, you don't think that was a mistake?
No, I think we were seized of the critical issues and directed that the studies were directed there.
I just want to make a quick point, we're out of time though. Mm-hmm. The reality is that Anthony and I went there, the chairman went there, we actually had a team out there with NEPA because we heard that mangroves were being destroyed. When we went, we searched and everything, there was one existing stand of mangrove that was not touched. We never saw any evidence that mangrove was impacted in the area itself.
But having said that, that's not downplaying.
No, it's not downplaying. It's not downplaying because all the vegetation was very important. But what I was thinking that persons would emphasize that all the vegetation is important. What I know is a person who emphasized about mangroves, and I was a bit surprised because for us, every single bit of vegetation is important for
what we
us.
saw there looked pretty drastic.
Yes. No, you're perfectly correct. You're perfectly correct.
We're going to have to leave
You're
it there,
perfectly
gentlemen.
correct.
We appreciate your coming in. We're going to keep in touch. We want to follow and see what NEPA is doing with this. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you all so very much. And stay tuned. When we come back, we hear from some of the other stakeholders. Remember our WhatsApp line. You can all see I still don't know the number, so may I look. So it is 2540693. We soon come.